Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So the topic of this video is what would happen if the US birth rate dropped drastically low over time. When I first thought about that, and before I went on ChatGPT, my first thought was obviously the financial repercussions of that down the road. For obviously something like Social Security as well as taxes, a taxpayer base. But as I was going through what ChatGPT actually came up with, I realized there's a lot more to, you know, the situation than just financial, with having a progressive decline in the birth rate. Now, personally, I don't blame young people today for not wanting to have children. With the cost of everything right now, I cannot blame them. People are barely keeping a roof over their head and being able to buy food and pay bills, let alone the expense of a child. And children are expensive. And just along with the ridiculous high rents and the cost of everything, it's smart and better to not have a child that you honestly cannot support. But long-term repercussions from those decisions can ultimately harm the United States more than help. Now, I remember reading several months ago that North Korea is having a similar problem with their birth rate dropping drastically. And so their answer to it is, we're banning birth control, which is so stupid. Because you can't force people to have children. Well, I mean, in a, society like The Handmaid's Tale, you could technically, I guess, but in modern, supposedly civilized society, no, you cannot. And I believe many, many years ago, former USSR, Russia, had a similar situation also. And I may be wrong, so if I am wrong and you know the whole story with that, please do correct me in the comments section. But I believe they came up with some sort of financial incentive or something for people to have another child or a child. But I know I did see online several months ago about North Korea. So obviously it's not just a United States problem. And seriously, wait till you see some of the things that ChatGPT brought up. Made me a little bit angry because I thought, well, why aren't these things offered now as it is for parents? You know? Because to the best of my knowledge, there's other countries that do paid parental leave and things of that nature. But no, not the US. I mean, like, we are so backwards when it comes to helping families and mothers especially. It's really disgusting. So let's get into what ChatGPT brought up about this. Aging population. A decline in birth rates results in an increasing proportion of older adults compared to younger people, obviously, which leads to a rapidly aging population. This shift can strain healthcare systems and social services, as older populations generally require more medical and support. Common sense, which then brings up the financial impact as well. How does all this get paid for with less workers to pay into this system? Economic challenges. Labor force decline. Fewer births means a shrinking workforce, which could hinder economic growth and productivity. Dependency ratios. With fewer workers to support retirees, the financial burden increases on the younger working population, potentially leading to higher taxes and reduced benefits. I have seen on a few YouTube videos where they react to different TikTok videos, where, you know, some people are just ready to quit and become a nomad and live off grid, go do DoorDash or something when they need money, and basically like disappear, drop off. And their logic simply is that there's not going to be Social Security or anything for them down the road, so why should they work their butt off and pay into something that's not going to be there for them? That's not an uncommon topic that keeps popping up in some of these TikToks with younger people. So it is something to consider, you know. I want to do one of these videos, which is rather interesting, like what would happen if everyone stopped working. That is really, really interesting. And kind of bizarre, some of the things that ChatGPT said. But yeah, that's gonna be a video soon, because that is a really interesting topic. How quickly our society could crumble the second people stop working. Well, basically, if everyone stopped working. So everything goes back to financial with this. So let me see here. Where was I? Consumer demand. A smaller population, aging population, could decrease demand for goods and services, particularly those geared towards younger demographics, such as housing, education, and childcare. Well, that makes sense. Older people don't have children, small children. They're not going to be concerned about education. And housing, they're probably looking to downsize, sell, or perhaps they require assisted living or personal care. So yeah, that changes a lot of the landscape with things. And again, that ties in with taxes and financial, social, and cultural impacts. Cultural shifts. With fewer children, communities may experience shifts in cultural norms and practices, including changes in education systems and family structures. Yeah, that would be quite interesting to actually see, if we could actually look into a crystal ball and see when there is fewer children, say in 15, 20 years. Loneliness and isolation. Smaller families and fewer children could exacerbate issues of social isolation. I'm getting tongue-tied today. Social isolation among older adults. I don't feel isolated because I'm getting older. I feel isolated because I'm stuck in the damn boonies with no, reliable transportation. I don't have an opportunity to just go out and meet people and get to do things. So older people, I think it's not good for them, especially if they don't drive, to be in rural, isolated areas. That's where you become isolated, when you're not around support and services and people. Pressure on social services, Social Security and pensions. Here we go. Social Security and pension systems funded by current workers' contributions may face significant deficits as the ratio of retirees to workers grows. And that right now is a looming issue with Social Security right this moment. The idea being, though, too, that Social Security is going to go bust. And then there was talk about giving federal workers or something Social Security benefits now, which is going to deplete the fund quicker. I haven't followed with that, though, to see if that did in fact get through or not. So I don't know what's going on anymore in the world. It's just absolutely crazy. Potential economic responses. This is interesting. Increased immigration. Well, we all know with President-elect Donald Trump, that wouldn't be an option. To offset the declining birth rate, the U.S. might turn to immigration as a means of replenishing the workforce and maintaining population growth. Perhaps in 2029 or so, but yeah, not these next few years. Absolutely not. We know how he feels about immigrants. Pro-natalist policy. This is the part that got me so mad. Governments might introduce policies to encourage higher birth rates, such as paid parental leave. Why has there not been paid parental leave? Other countries do it. Why would it take a drastic decline in the birth rate to make a government say, oh, we should offer paid parental leave? Well, why not? Other countries have been doing that for quite a while. Child care subsidies and tax incentives for families with children. Urban and rural dynamics. Low birth rates could exacerbate population declines in rural areas, leading to ghost towns and economic stagnation in less urbanized areas. Well, that makes sense, because if you have a family, you want to be by schools, you want to be by good schools, you need to be around stores, you need to have access to good medical care, which often you will not find in rural areas. So therefore, rural areas don't offer the things that families need. But to be quite honest, they don't necessarily offer what older folks need either. I'm a social person. It kills me not being able to, just like socialize with people, like just have a cup of coffee with someone, etc., etc., see people. So urban areas really don't offer both age groups much. I tend to think that people who want to get away from people tend to live in the urban areas. But if you want to be around people, it's not a good fit. It really truly isn't. Geopolitical considerations. Now, this was something I genuinely didn't think about at first. Over time, a declining population could reduce the U.S.'s global influence and economic competitiveness compared to countries with stable or growing populations. And again, that makes perfect sense. And again, it's all tied into finances. But let's be realistic for a moment, guys, and look at the current situation. Older people, retired, those folks on Social Security and everything, are really truly struggling, myself included. And right now, everybody is feeling it, from single people, families, elderly. And I feel weird saying elderly, because now that I'm 60, I guess according to Waccamaw Department of Aging, I am actually at the low end of elderly. Nobody is really, doing good except for that top 3% or, whatever, the rich. So there's no particular age group that is doing really good. Single people are working their butt off and have nothing to show for it. And they're lucky if they can pay for a teeny tiny place to live. Families are really struggling with 2, 3 jobs and have to find ways to cut back because it's getting harder and harder for them to, maintain. And elderly, well, forget it. We're just basically screwed because of the low income we get. So, yeah, in closing, when the birth rate drops considerably over time, continuously, it will disrupt society, and to a certain degree, it will affect everyone. Addressing such challenges requires proactive and adaptive policy making. Supporting families, encourage population growth. We'll hold up here a moment. How do you encourage population growth when everything is so unaffordable? You can't afford to buy a house. You can barely afford to pay rent. And businesses don't want to pay higher wages. So how are you going to encourage population growth? I'd love to see our government right now have an answer for that. Or restructure society to align with the smaller population. And it may just come down to that. Maybe society as a whole just needs to hit the reboot button. Because You know, when they think they have one problem solved, there's about 10 more on the tail of that. You can't encourage people to have children when they're not earning a decent salary. You can't encourage people to have children when they can barely afford rent. They'll never be able to buy a home. You can't encourage people to have a family when quality of education stinks in public schools. You cannot encourage people to have children when they just decide they don't want the responsibility. And I applaud any young person or young couple who said they do not want the responsibility. They want to do things for themselves and want to do what they want to do with their life. They don't want to be a parent. Not everybody has that need to be a parent or that desire to be a parent. Not everybody should be a parent. And I know some people think that's selfish, but I don't see anything wrong with a person wanting to enjoy their life when they're young. Then maybe when they're in their 30s decide to have a child, if they even meet the right person that they may consider having a child with. I mean, let's be honest, most of these relationships nowadays suck. Online dating is an absolute joke. I gave up on it. It seems like men my age are still assholes from when they were younger assholes. If you meet one good one out of maybe 30, 40, you're blessed. Many of them are looking for either like a nurse to take care of them or a mommy type figure to support them, and it's just ridiculous. More of them are looking for a roommate than an actual girlfriend or someone to go out with, which is really, really sad. And again, I guess it's just a sign of the times, but it's like, no, 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 no. So I must have about 50 messages on the dating thing. I don't even look at them anymore. I give up. I give up. Because I'm just not impressed with what I'm seeing. I met one good person, which was Joe. And ironically, he's actually from PA. So he's actually a northerner, but he's lived down here for 25 plus years. He's like the only normal dude I actually met, and everybody else is just... So I'm really not impressed per se. Maybe I just haven't met the right one. I don't know, but not on online dating. I sure as hell won't. So I don't know. Let me know in your, thoughts in the comments section. Um, I mean, I think society is due somewhere down the road. Maybe not in my lifetime. Maybe in my children's lifetime. I think society is due for a big reset. That everything has just run its course. I think that the country is way too far in debt. I think corporate greed is ruining America. Society as a whole has just placed way too much importance and existence around money that, that is the downfall, I think, of our society. Because money in and of itself, isn't a bad thing. It's the lust for more of it is what breeds greed. And while capitalism has good intentions, I think the dark side to it is that, yeah, it does not benefit everyone. Well, guys, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Consider subscribing, and as always, I will see you all soon on my next one. Take care and stay warm. Bye for now.